Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I decided to do a video editing tutorial on how I made this mushroom intro for my last video. This whole thing is going to take place in the app CapCut. It's a free editing app and it's amazing, and I think it'll be really useful to a lot of people out there. So let's get into it. So I have my typical intro with my logo, and I'm using this mushroom video where the camera pans across it, and I think it looks really cool how it glides, and I want it to blend seamlessly. So what I'm going to do is tap on the white square that is in between the two video clips. And this is going to pull up a menu that has all of the different animated transitions you can use for between these two clips so that they blend together. I'm going to select the black fade transition, and it does just what it sounds like. It makes the video clip fade up from black. And I think that would go great with the logo video since that has a black background. You can also select how long the transition is. Since the video is going to glide across and be kind of dreamy looking, I want to go for a longer fade so that it doesn't look too abrupt for the footage, but rather it looks like you're opening your eyes slowly. After you choose your transition, you can see around the white square in between the video clips that it is now slanted, and that just shows how long the transition is. Now I'm selecting how I want the mushroom video to transition into the actual painting tutorial, into the mushroom painting. And here you can see I'm trying out quite a few. This one was mix. This one was white flash, which was a little too much. Dissolve. I ultimately decided to go with mix. I thought it had a nice fade in kind of feel that just blended the two video clips really nicely. And I made the transition longer so it has more of a dreamy quality to it. Alright, so here's what we have so far. I felt like the camera pan went a little too fast, so I decided to slow down the footage. You can do this by tapping on your video clip, going to speed, tapping normal, and just decreasing on the slider how slow you want it to go. This will, of course, increase the length of time your video clip is. Alright, so I'm gonna make a few adjustments, replay it, and see how I like it. Seems good enough to me for now. I might change some things later about the speed, but for now I really want to edit the colors of the footage. Tap on your video clip and go to adjust. Right here you'll be able to edit it like you would a photo. I feel like this footage is way too cool toned and it kind of makes the mushroom scene feel ominous. So I really wanted to warm things up for more of a fantasy friendlier vibe. As you can see, there's a huge difference. That looks like a horror movie, whereas at the other end, it looks a lot more inviting. I really want this to look magical and kind of like golden hour, so I'm leaning a lot more on the warm side. Here I'm adjusting the hue because I felt like under temperature it was a little too yellow, and I wanted to reduce that a little bit without making it super cool toned. So under hue I'm adding a little bit to the right, which throws in a little bit more purple. That just balances out the yellow without making it super cool looking. And here is what we have of the video clip so far. See how the footage stops before it goes into the possum painting? I really want it to still be moving a little bit as it fades into the possum painting. So I'm going to the end of that footage and I'm just clipping that back a little bit. Because I cut the video shorter, I decided to make the footage just the tiniest bit slower so that the footage is longer, if that makes sense. Okay, now we're getting into the fun stuff, the video effects. At the bottom, you tap on effects where that star icon is, and it will bring you to this menu, choose video effects, and there is a plethora of things you can scroll through. Right here's the trending page, but there's tons of different categories. There's ones that have masks, there's ones that are glitchy effects, there's ones with glittery effects, all sorts of things you can choose from. When you choose one, it will have an adjustment layer where you can slide it back and forth to decide where you want that layer applied. So you can technically have it applied over numerous clips if you really want to. This effect is called soft, and it just adds a subtle blurring effect to the video clip. And I'm trying to have the effect end at the perfect spot during that transition fade into the possum painting segment. I don't want the effect to be gone and then transition into the possum clip. It would look kind of funky, so I'm adding the end of the soft effect right in between that transition. Next, we're going to add another effect. I'm going to go to Bling, and I think it would be cool for there to be some glittery, sparkly effect on the mushroom. Just something really subtle, though. These effects can get pretty crazy, so you gotta choose the right one, but this one I thought looked great because it's very subtle and adds a very dreamy quality. So the effect I chose was called Kira Kira, and see how when I have it selected to preview the effect, it highlights blue and it says adjust. Just tap on it a second time and this menu will pull up for you to adjust it a bit. Every effect has different adjustment options depending on what the dynamics are of the effect. In this one, you can adjust the amount of sparkles there are and the size of them. Since it's so subtle, I'm going to bring that up quite a bit. Since I like how it looks, I'm going to expand that across the whole mushroom clip. Okay, so now I am adding another effect, and I wanted a subtle particle effect, kind of like when you see dust or whatever else going into sun rays, like in the forest on a sunny day. You know what I'm talking about? And I found under details an effect called winter lights, which kind of gives that same effect and has an out of focus light particle look. Under adjustments, you can alter the opacity of this effect and also the speed in which the particles float around. I'm lowering all of these significantly. I don't want it to be super noticeable, and I'm dragging that across the whole video clip. And it still doesn't feel complete, so I'm going to look at other effects, and I'm going to scroll at the other categories, and I'm going to go to shadow, and I tapped on tree shade 1. This effect just does exactly what it sounds like. It looks like light filtering through tree leaves, so it makes a really cool out of focus light glimmering look, which makes sense with the setting of the mushroom scene. And in this one, the adjustments you can alter are the background animation, which is just pretty much the opacity, and you can also alter the speed in which the lights are glimmering. I lowered it significantly. I like piling on a lot of subtle layers because it makes it feel more real. Right here, I'm going back and forth so you can see the before and after of using that effect. And as you can see, it makes a huge difference, but not to the point where it's like, oh, that looks super fake. You know what I mean? And you guessed it, I'm adding one more effect. I'm going into the shadow category and adding a filter called Sunset 4. Because with all the other effects, it would just make sense for there to be sun rays somewhere or some evidence of the sun coming through the forest. And this does a great job at that, and I'm going to make that lower in opacity. The speed isn't like a lot with this filter. It's pretty subtle already. I'm mostly paying attention to the opacity of it. And here's what it looks like. I love it. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is add the title of the video into this little scene. I'm first going to deselect out of the footage by tapping somewhere else on the screen from it. Select text, then add text, and a keyboard will come up. Type in what you want your text to say. Mine is going to be painting a mushroom with gouache paint. And I'm actually going to do 2 text boxes because I want them separated a bit on the footage. Above the keyboard, you see font, style, effects, animation, and bubble. I'm going to be selecting style, and this is where you can change the color, size, and opacity of your text. You can also add a colored text box behind your text. Then I selected font, and I'm choosing a font that kind of looks like a storybook font. I took a minute scrolling through all of them. They just have so many to choose from. I decided I wanted the letters to be glowy and golden looking because I wanted it to go with the theme of the mushroom scene. So I tapped on effects, and under there is so much stuff you can choose from. They have all sorts of effects. It kind of reminds me of the old Microsoft Word fonts that you could use, but cooler. This one I chose makes it look like it's glowing on the edges, and I decided that was the best option for what I'm trying to go for. And I also changed my mind on the font, so let's fast forward a bit because I wound up just scrolling through a ton. Alright, so this is ultimately what I came up with. I wanted to fade in and out with the transitions I put for the footage. So I'm going to select animation, and here you have all of these options. As you can see, you have the options on the upper left corner, in, out, and loop. So you can have an animation fade in, out, or you can just have it continuously animate throughout the duration of your text. I'm placing an animation under the in option, and I selected the animation called open, and I'm just increasing that to 2.2 seconds. A slow fade I felt like went with the theme of the mushroom scene. And this is what it looks like. I think it looks good, but I need to have this text fade out into the mushroom scene as it fades into the possum painting video. So again, I'm going to select animation while still having the text box selected. And I'm going to look at the animation options in the out section. I chose the fade out animation, and the duration of that animation is going to be a lot shorter so that it blends into that footage transition really well. I end up lengthening the text so that it blends better, but you get the idea. And because I want to have another text box basically doing the same exact thing, I just want it to say something else, I just tap on that text box, tap, copy, and I'm going to just place it below. Then I just edit what I want the text to say. I'm also shrinking the size down a little bit. I'm doing this by pinching my fingers down, or you can use the icon in the lower right corner of the text box. I want the lower text box to appear after the first one animates open, so I'm dragging this down further so that it starts the animation to reveal the text later. And here is the final. And that was it for this week's video. I hope this was really helpful, and if you guys would like more like this, please give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you next week. Bye!